And I was there for probably about 4 to 6 hours. I stopped a cruise on a ship and walked through the fish market and walked through the city a little bit.
Was it great? What did you think about the city?
I really enjoyed it, although the people at the fish market gave me strange looks. People looked at me as strange. I also had a flat pancake with egg, fried egg tendon with green onions and stuff. Street market. I don't know what that's about.
All right. And we all read your book, Before Time Deception. Why did you write a book? So why did you write your book? It's not really an academic journal. It's more of a fiction with a lot of science, computer science background. But why did you exactly write the book?
Why did I wrote Before Time Deception because I started to read fiction after college. I never liked to read during college because all the books I had to read were from work or school. And so I stopped reading. And then I started reading fiction a couple years after college, and I thought they were all really bad. All the books I read were not exciting, so I decided to write my own novel just to see if I could. And I spent 8 years trying to write it just for fun, and then publish it. It was just for fun, really, as a side project.
It was funny.
Good.
I like you.
What did he say?
I like you.
Oh, I like you too. Where are the women? I don't see any women in your club.
We do have women in our club, but they're all hiding.
저 화면 한 바퀴 돌려. Okay.
They're all hiding away in that. So, you're currently teaching CS, beginners introductory CS in UCLA. So, what does computer science mean to you?
What does computer science mean to me? That's a great question. You know, when I was young, when I was 11 years old, I learned how to program. My father began teaching me how to program, and for me, it was an opportunity to be very creative and to do all kinds, build all kinds of interesting software, video games, and so on. And it really changed my life because it allowed me to be creative without having to have lots of money, or I could do it right from my own bedroom, just program it. Today, that was in 1983, me too. Now, computers are interconnected everywhere, around efficient and the ability to use computers and program them can help people from the world. You can teach everything because everything is based on software right now. And so teaching is about helping people make a difference in the world by giving them the tools that are necessary to make a difference and to be creative. So that's why I really enjoy it.
All right, so for our next question, would any of our members like to ask their own questions? Any volunteers? Anyone?
One second.
오케이. 원세 다음 질문 원세 피니시 아무거나.
Okay.
간다.
I'm back.
Alright.
야, 살짝 이쪽으로 돌려. 그러니까 이제 유리한 느낌이 없나?
근데 내 질문이 없네요. 아. 근데 가까이 있는 잘 들려 프로페서. Hello, Professor. I want to ask you about how antivirus program can detect the antivirus.
안티바이러스 프로그램이 안티바이러스 프로그램이
Sorry.
No problem. Antivirus software, that can spend an hour and a half talking about software is actually a collection of algorithms. You guys know what algorithms are?
Yes.
Algorithms? It's a collection of algorithms that all work together to detect viruses in different ways. Some of the algorithms involve taking a hash or full file. So you take a file that might be, the error might be good. You compute the hash of it, SHA-2 hash or MD5 hash. Yeah? And then you look up the hash in a database. That's one way of doing it, which is reasonably fast. Do you all know what regular expressions are? Regex? Is that something you know or no?
Regex, it's I learned that in JavaScript.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the other thing we do is string scanning. So you might, for instance, say, okay, I know that this string of machine code bytes will be found in a malicious piece of software, but not a good piece of software. And so basically building an algorithm to scan for millions of regular strings in a binary file at the same time, efficiently would be another way of detecting malicious software. So you would actually scan for a million different strings of bytes, let's say 32 bytes long, within, see if you can find it anywhere within the file. Another technique involves CPU emulation or virtual machines, if you will. So a lot of antivirus software will take a piece of software that we don't know if it's good or bad, and we'll run it inside of a virtual machine to see what it does. And then we will, if it looks bad, if it performs bad behaviors or decrypts itself, self-decrypting, modifying, we can then detect it that way. Many, many different ways of detecting malware. Those are some of the basic ones. But a typical antivirus program probably has 1 million lines of code, 500,000 lines of code dedicated to detecting malicious software. Another way that we use is machine learning. AI, and what they do is they take lots of malicious software, they categorize it as good or bad by hand, the human being does it, and then they feed that into a deep neural network or decision tree, a machine learning model, to have the machine learning system learn how to classify the malware. And so that's another technique that's being used more and more.
Thank you for answering my question.
Right, so to continue on, I think that this question would be a great follow-up question to the previous one. So how do you efficiently read disassembled code? Since we're technically a hacking club, we do a lot of machine assembly language reading, so we call it disassembly. Reversing, yeah, we call it reversing. We call it reversing a software to see what kinds of instructions it has and how does it execute a certain function. And we use it to maybe change how certain drivers work and maybe fool certain keygens. I don't know what to call them, keygens, maybe. So we use it to do things that you normally wouldn't be able to do with the software. But one difficulty we have encountered while doing such activities is that assembly code isn't really human friendly. It's very difficult to read. Certain CPU instructions are very hard to follow, and stacks and if statements, jump if, they're very difficult to follow. So how do you efficiently read disassembled code?
Do you use a disassembler, for instance, like IDA? IDA?
IDA?
Yeah, IDA Pro.
We use something called Ollie DBG debug.
Oh, Ollie debug, okay, yeah. So basically, I haven't done that in probably about 15 years. But the way that I got good at it was just by doing it every day, 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. And after a while, you will look at the machine code or assembly code and you will know that this is related to family X versus family Y, and it will become very obvious. And it may not seem like that will happen. It may seem to you like, oh, you'll never be able to read this code quickly. But if you do it for a couple months, every day, for many, many hours, it will become like reading Korean for you. It will be very easy. Yeah.
Okay, so one more question about that. So For example, Windows. To print a system message in Windows, you need Windows libraries. And for Windows libraries, if you read disassembled code, there are certain patterns in which a piece of text or Unicode gets pushed into the stack of Windows. I don't know exactly how it works, but and then it gets pushed. Certain instructions are passed, and I don't know, add plus. So, how much expertise of different apps or OSs or kernels do you need to have to track the virus to know that, oh, this does a certain thing for this software, because every software will have different executions and every OS will have different ways of executing assembly code. How much expertise do you need to have?
Let me make sure I understand the question. You're asking if I were to do a disassembly of something on Linux versus Windows, how much more knowledge do I have to be able to do it on Linux after knowing how to do it on Windows?
Yes.
I would say if you become proficient in doing it on Windows, let's say after you spend three to 6 months, you do it every day. I would guess within a month or month and a half of doing it every day on Linux, you'll become just as good, because Linux has a similar set of system calls. You can still open files, close files, open processes, kill processes. You just need to recognize those things, and you'll recognize those very quickly because they're the same. They're the same type of thing.
Oh, right. That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's not too difficult.
Yeah, assembly is very difficult to read.
You'll get better at it over time. It just takes time.
To move on to our next question, what personal projects are you working on with Ben? So, not related to work, but just as a hobby or an interest.
Personal projects, I'm not working on two personal projects right now. Right now, the one thing I am working on is a class project for my computer science class at UCLA in Winter. The project is Federal Express, like the delivery company or deep stuff in Korea? FedEx. You heard of FedEx?
FedEx. Yes.
Yeah.
Delivery.
Yeah, so they deliver packages to a bunch of different places, right? So I'm building a project. My students will build a turn-by-turn navigation. Go down this street, turn right, go down this street, turn left, and so on, and then drop off packages to basically figure out how to optimize delivery of a bunch of food or packages to a bunch of people. So I'm working on that project on the side right now in preparation for my class. I also most of the time, just rock climbing when I have free time and hanging out with friends.
Right. So anyone else want to ask any questions? No?
So let me ask you a question. You are all in high school right now, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How old are you? Between 16 and 18? 17?
16. In US years, it would be 10th to 11th grade. 12th.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
10학년, 11학년.
지금 뭐라고요?
나이를 물어보고.
우리 나이 물어보고 있어.
So let's move on to IoT. So the world, a lot of people are very interested in IoT, and there's a lot of media buzz around the word IoT, Internet of Things, and Internet, and 5G, and everything else. But as a hacking club, we take a lot of interest in the security aspects and how certain applications can be used for other purposes other than the intended ones. So, for example, in IoT there are self-driving cars and automated garage openers, and even Amazon doorbells that can automatically detect if it's a package that's come and open the door for it. So, what are some of the threats with this kind of new technology that you can foresee, and how do you think the society as a whole can prevent it?
The biggest threat with IoT devices is they tend to run on low-power processors that are running open-source operating systems like Linux, transfers to Linux, and the software that those devices run is written by people who know nothing about cybersecurity, so they want generally secured, and nor are they easily updatable. In other words, these are not platforms that can easily be updated and patched if there's a problem. So somebody in Canada might produce a doorbell that has software running on it, and if that doorbell has a bug in it, a flaw that can be attacked with an exploit, that doorbell will go through the field and be on Wi-Fi and never be fixed. It will never be patched. It will be vulnerable for the next 10, 20 years. And the biggest problem is there are pretty billions of devices in the world that have these flaws and that can't be patched or updated. And so, what could come of that? Well, hackers could break into those devices easily and use them for denial of service attacks. Imagine if you had 1 million light sensors, doorbells, refrigerators, all doing a denial of service attack at the bank. If the bank doesn't pay a ransom fee to it. Or imagine if they were to use 10 million devices to do denial of service attack against a company. That can be very expensive and very damaging to society. In addition, if you can break into those devices through an exploit, you can then record people's voices, essentially, record video, watch them when they don't want to be watched, change things that could cause fires in their house, all kinds of different things. So I would say denial of service attacks are a big one, like Rai, the botnet, right, and other types of attacks as well, and they're not going to be easily fixed. What can people do? If you really want, some big company probably needs to create a platform like a Linux, but a secure Linux that has built-in updating features and other features so that if these devices are found to be vulnerable, they can be updated or shut off so that they won't be targeted.
So, so you thought that? I have a cold, so my voice isn't working properly right now. So you're saying that since IoT mostly runs on open source software, to be able to run on all the different hardwares and to create a single environment or platform, to say, or a lot of different devices to be able to use simultaneously. And I think that really relates to the question of if Android or iOS, which one is more secure? Because Android is open source, so its source, a lot of developers can see its source and they can scan the code without having to read the assembly or whatever, and they can find exploits within the simple logics of the code. And in that aspect, what do you think about the open source community, and what do you think that, other than what you said earlier, deploying some form of a way to patch all of the software or shut down the open source software if a threat is found, what are some of the ways that the open source community as a whole can improve to create a more secure future?
That's a great question. I think it's a lot of fun. So I'll say I don't know at this point. I haven't given it a lot of thought to give you a good answer, but it's not obvious. It's not obvious that you can just tell people in open source to do something differently, because in open source people can do whatever they want, and there's no guarantee that you can have regulations from the government, because they some governments may or may not have regulations. So it's not an easy problem to solve. I think the best thing to do would be for a big company like a Google, Amazon, Microsoft to produce a platform with these updating features, with these security features, and give it for free to all the open source people so they can build on top of it. But it's not an easy question. I don't know.
So, after reading your works on publicly available on Google Scholar or other mediums, it seems that you're specialized in antivirus and OS deployments or exploits. So I've read one where packaging an executable so it can be installed. I didn't understand it fully, but something like that. I'm sorry. But in the event of new technologies like IoT and web-based applications, or even progressive web applications, and even entire operating systems and hardware being moved into the cloud, what other areas of cybersecurity are you interested in, other than just systems and hardware and devices?
Well, the area that I find interesting is web application firewalls. If you're not familiar with those are protecting websites because, like a banking website, for instance, it's a proxy that sits between a malicious user and the business website. The reason why I find those interesting is as more and more companies centralize more and more sensitive, confidential data in cloud services, those cloud services are going to become more and more of a target for attackers. And most developers don't know how to write secure websites. And so there needs to be a way to better secure websites that are written by people who are not security experts. And web application firewalls or web systems can help you do that. I'm just interested in, although I don't do a lot of work in this area, in hardened platforms, basically secure by design from the hardware perspective, a root of trust system where every software that runs on a device is guaranteed to be digitally signed, certified by the previous, by the bootloader or the operating system and so on. There are other types of hardware protection you can have. You keep getting equipment on a cost basis, so that memory injection and other technologies that attackers can use can't read the data from one box to another. There's a number of technologies I think are going to be very valuable.
So, don't do it like Facebook.
Don't do like Facebook? What do you mean?
Like save all the passwords and confidential personal data as plain text.
Don't do that. Don't do plain text. That's right. That's right.
After reading all of your works on Google Scholar, I was very interested in how you come up with an unique idea. So, in our school, we do something called research and education, which is basically we find an area that we're interested in, and we search for papers online, and we see if we can add on to the knowledge base that's already there, or maybe create a new and original idea. So you have a lot of unique patents and even papers online. So how do you come up with an original idea that nobody else has thought of? And how do you verify that it's unique, that nobody else has already published that data? Because if you didn't find anything related to your idea, then maybe that your idea is original, but it also may be that you just simply searched for the wrong thing. Maybe somebody else used a different terminology to explain it, but it's fundamentally the same idea. How do you verify that?
Okay, so let me answer both questions. So how do I do, when I was your age and maybe even until now, how do I do creative things and build new things? At least when I was your age, and even now to some extent, I love reinventing the wheel. In other words, I love building something from scratch without reading how somebody else solved the problem. So I don't worry about whether somebody's already solved the problem, whether I'm solving the same thing or not. I try to build the thing myself, the solution myself, and try to figure out all the problems, solve them myself. Now that can waste a lot of time, right? Because you end up doing something that other people have already figured out how to solve, but you learn a lot about trying to solve something from scratch. And so most of my life, I've ignored the research papers, and I've just built things from scratch to see if I can do it all by myself. That helped me learn all kinds of new things. There's a place for that. It doesn't work for everybody, but I know a lot of people who have done that, and it's been good for them. I also try to think and take ideas from other disciplines. So for instance, when I was thinking about detecting malware back in Symantec in the late 2000s, I was thinking about how Amazon created books, and Amazon used humans in order to do written books and other items that we could for sale. Could you do something similar in software? I would think about biology and medicine. That could help fight malware and get malware. And so if you think about different disciplines outside of cybersecurity, for instance, like medicine, like shopping, you can often get ideas that can cross over and add a lot of value. So think about things that you know about that are in totally different fields and how they might impact things. As you mentioned, I have software patents from the U.S. Patent Office. When you file a patent, you don't have to verify whether it's 100% novel. All you have to do is convince the patent office, that reads the patent from the government, that your patent is in. And they're going to do their own research, and ultimately they will go and decide whether it is new or not. And many patents that are filed actually probably are not new. But because it's so difficult to determine that, only does that. The only problem if patent is actually evaluated, to be really well evaluated, is during a lawsuit, a legal matter, where a company sues another company, and then they dig up everything they can find, and then that's when you find that most patents are actually probably not that good. But I've filed over 100 patents, and I've gotten over 100 patents accepted, and maybe 1 or 2% have been rejected. So most patents are accepted, even, and who knows how many are new or not? You don't know.
So, you said that a lot of patents will get accepted by the office without any very deep investigations. So, I'm very worried about this because that means that anybody can publish content that may look professional, but it can be totally fake, it can be spoofed, or it can be misleading. So, how do you verify whether the research done in the paper is true, if it's false, or if it's modified in any way?
I don't know. It's a great question. That's a problem for all of you to solve. I'm later on in my career, but that's a really hard problem. Same thing with deepfakes, right? You don't know if a video or audio recording is real or not, and it's going to be more and more difficult to tell. So things like digital watermarking can help with something like that, but that's a really hard problem because people can't tamper with things.
Alright, so to continue, oh, I'm very sorry. I think your question can be a great intermediary question.
So Captain.
I like your shirt. Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in your t-shirts.
Back to the future. Oh.
I like it.
Thank you.
My question is, in Korea, single memorization is the most common and efficient way to study something difficult. Is there a different technique you have used to learn and gain insight into new subject, or even cybersecurity itself?
Let me just make sure I understand the question. You're asking, do I use just memorization to learn, or do I try other things? Is that right?
He says 모국어.
기억하는 것이냐 아니면 다른
무엇보다 나은 거.
I didn't quite hear. It cut out. So can you say it again?
In Korea, their single memorization is one way to study something, but there are different way to study something on studying web and cyber security.
I see. So I am really bad at remembering things. So memorization is very difficult for me. So I'm not good at memorizing. I prefer to try things. I prefer to think about principles and theories of how something would work and examine something based on that rather than based on a fact that I remember. So I don't like to memorize, because I'm so bad at it, I forget very easily. My whole life, when I was your age, I would forget. I couldn't memorize things. So the way I've learned is by trying. I'll write some code. I'll write a program in C++ or Java or whatever, see how it works, try it, iterate. I'll try to understand the concept behind something. Because I'm pretty good at remembering a concept or theory. I'm very bad at remembering a list of things, memorizing. And so I don't think my career has ever been helped by memorizing or memorizing anything else.
Thank you for your answer.
Sure. Just when you think and try to understand the underlying theory, why do you do it work? Yeah.
We are testing accesses to our school homepage.
We enjoy something hacking our school something.
Yeah.
개인적으로 빼는 거 좋아한다.
So I think one of the questions that can be asked about regarding this is that do you have to be smart, and do you have to be good at schoolworks, or do you have to get good grades, or maybe get good results in different contests to have a successful career in computer science? I think that's a great question for many of us because school grades are a very stressful thing if you see it on paper, and it may seem right now that, and also for me too, and I don't know, but if I get a bad grade, I think that my future's gonna be grim. Everybody else is smarter than me, so they'll probably have better ideas. So my ideas will work as well than others. So do you have to be smart and be good at school to do great things?
So when I was in junior high school, grade school, I would get mostly E's and P's. Okay, B grades and C grades. The ABCD grades, ABCDF, yeah. I didn't do that well. Even in high school, I got lots of B's, and I got classes, and I got some A's too in high school. So I don't think grades matter in your ability to become a great engineer, or programmer, or reverse engineer. I think the most important thing is lots and lots of practice, lots of persistence. Keep on doing the things you like. Because if you like programming, do it every hour of every day. Go home when you're done with school and just program, and get really good at it. Many people don't have passions for learning math or Korean or English or whatever. You just don't like it. You don't spend a lot of time there, and so you're good at it. And so I think that most people, if you spend a lot of time on a topic that you really care about, you're going to get good at it, especially if you're going to top the program. So when I was your age, I was programming 20 hours outside of school. What I cared about, even though I was really bad at school, I didn't do school, I didn't get straight A's. I just focused on what I liked. And I'm not the smartest person. I'm actually not that bright. I think I have lots of people that I work with that are much smarter than I am. But because of my just spending hours and years coding, programming, learning about what I like, I've become very good at it. So I think it's less about how smart you think you are. It's more about how much time you put in, how much practice you put in. And I'll tell you one more thing. Most people think that they are more stupid than they actually are. Okay? Me, probably. So I know a lot of people who are really smart that don't think they're smart at all. They think they're not very smart. They think they're stupid. And so the most important thing that holds people back is because they think they're stupid, not because they are stupid. So if you believe you're stupid, if you believe you're not smart enough, you will not try to do as much stuff. And that will hold you back far more than any actual stupidity that they actually think stupid. So just ignore feelings of doubt, ignore feelings that you're stupid, and just spend a lot of time doing what you like coding, programming, reverse engineering, and you will become excellent at it. That's all it takes, a lot of practice.
Alright, so to add on a little, to add on a bit to that, so in South Korea, currently a software developer is one of the most overworked and underappreciated jobs because if you search online the term software developer, it'll show that they work 20-hour work days every day for 7 out of 7 days in a week. And they get paid very little, and if they make a great improvement or they found something new, the company takes all the works and just gives them a tiny incentive, and that's it. So, what are your opinions regarding this kind of social environment? And do you think this is an opportunity, or do you think that something has to change about this kind of social attitude towards this job?
I'll tell you guys, come to the United States because we pay a lot of money and I work 40 hours a week. Right? Yeah, like being a software engineer is very valued here. It's like being a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer here. So it's a cultural thing. And I can't speak for South Korea, but I can tell you here in the United States, we really value software engineers because software is what transforms the world here. So it's really interesting that there it's considered a low job or not an important job, but here, my colleagues at Google often work 40 or 45 hours a week. They have time to spend with families, they have time to do fun things, and they make a lot of money. Okay, so it's just a cultural thing. So come to the United States if you want to be a great programmer or engineer. We're happy to have you work here and pay you a lot of money.
We're currently at the stage because high school and because you have to choose what you're going to master at university, what you're going to study, and what's really your dream. So I think that currently at the high school level, a lot of, especially me, we're thinking about what kind of career paths we're going to have, and suddenly your parents wants you to do something because they think that it can make a lot of money, it can give you good work and life balance, and they think it has a future. But maybe, especially me, I want to work in an area that doesn't seem like it's going to explode, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be much appreciated right now, but it's an area that I really would like to work in. So where do you think lies the line between a parent's job guidance, like life lessons, and just a simple impression of freedom to choose a child's career path?
I think that you have to live your life. You're never going to be happy if you do what your parents want you to do, and you're not going to be able to try things that are important to you. Because you'll always feel like there's a regret. You'll always feel like you could have done something else that could have made you happier. And so what I would say is, like, often parents are wise. Often they'll have an idea that doing something like being as a doctor will give you a better life potentially. But if you don't like what they're suggesting and you think you're going to be miserable doing it, I've known many people who have spent their life doing something their parents wanted them to do, and they were miserable. They were very unhappy. So I also know people who did what their parents suggested they do and were happy. It depends. So I would say the best thing to do would be to try internships, unpaid jobs during the summer. Try doing things that your parents are saying. Try doing things that you like and see what you like more. Take jobs, try them, see if they're fun or not. You might think that something your parents suggest that you think would normally be very boring might be really exciting. You might also find that something you think is exciting isn't as exciting as you thought it was. So, but you have to live your own life, and you will always be unhappy and have regrets if you don't do what you want to do. And so I would say, as you get a little bit older, as you start going into college, after your first or second year in college, really evaluate whether you're doing something that's going to make you happy. Now the counter to that is you have to make a living. You have to be able to earn money so you can take care of yourself. And so some people, and many people, have have to do things they don't want to do in life. It's just life. You have to go and make enough money to survive. So just be open to the fact that you may have to do things that you don't want to do just to survive, and that life is not always going to be doing what you want and what is most exciting to you. Like, if you're lucky, you can make money doing what's most exciting to you. But I would say most people, 80% of people, do something in order to make enough money so they can survive. So you have to put all that together, and everybody's different.
So what drives you as an active researcher in the field to keep working in what you like?
You know, I just like working with smart people and solving their problems. So for me, thinking of a problem that is not solved yet, and finding a common solution to it, working with people that I enjoy working with, are nice people. We love problems that aren't solved yet.
Sorry, God.
It's okay.
Alright, so let's get back to actual development, because there were a lot of questions, but unfortunately some of them were a bit too focused. So do you work in teams?
Yes, I work with a team of people. My team is about 35 people in size. That I work with. And under, I'm a manager, and so I have about 12 people that work for me.
Wow.
We work together, in a team.
So how do you manage such a big team? Because even with 4 people, there's a lot of different ideas about how to approach a certain problem. There's a lot of different arguments about what should be done which way. So how do you manage 35 people in a team?
Well, I don't manage 35 people. I manage about 12, but I work with a team of 35 people. In general, we have decided ahead of time who gets to make the call, who gets to decide on things. So, for instance, we have somebody called a tech lead. A tech lead is a role that is a very senior engineer who can make decisions about things. They are given the power to decide A versus B. Should we take approach 1 or approach number 2? And so when there is a debate between a more junior engineer or 2 junior engineers, then the tech lead will decide. And that way, we don't just have 12 different people trying to do 12 different things. Okay? We've all agreed that the tech lead will make a decision if there's a debate. We all agree on how we're going to work together. Like, we use Agile process. You've heard of Agile development? We use a backlog. And so people pick off the items off the backlog and we're going to work on them. And that's how we just who works on what. So there are many ways of doing this, but it's very important to have a decider, somebody who can decide when there's a debate. Usually it's a senior engineer or tech lead. The other thing that's really important to do when you manage people is to really get to know them. Making relationships with other people, which are strong, so you understand what they want from their career and what is important to them is really, really important. You can tell people what to do if they report to you, if you're their boss. You tell them what to do, but people are much more likely to do what you want if you act nicely and have a good relationship with you, rather than if you tell them what to do if they have a bad relationship with you. So making relationships and having tight bonds with people is very important to get things done.
So rock climbing.
Rock climbing is rock climbing with people I work with too often. But I do rock climb with students. I rock climb with students. Yeah.
Right, so I don't think I don't remember if this question was asked by people in this room. Anyone else want to volunteer to come up and ask your question? Anyone else? Okay, so moving on. Is it important to know a lot of different programming languages? Because there's a lot of different languages and they work in different areas, C++, Java, Kotlin, etc., etc., etc. So, with antivirus software, okay.
Hello, please. Go on. So, keep going.
So it's important to know all different programming languages, and in which language are most of the viruses written in?
Okay, great question. So, it's important to know many different programming languages? No. Learn one and learn it really well, and then you go get a job in 5 or 10 years, you're working full time. If you need to learn another language, you learn it in about a month or two, because it's easy to learn a language once you understand the concepts. I would say it's much more important to become really good at one language, excellent at it, learn all the concepts, learn all the syntax, all the everything, and then if you need to, you can learn another language. But if you learn 3 languages poorly, just a little, not very good. Learn one language and be an expert. That way, when you interview, you can do a really good job in that language and so on, and problem solve with it. And when the time comes, like for instance at Google, if somebody needs to learn a new language, they just read the documentation, learn it as they go, and it takes them a couple months, and they learn it and start using it.
Wow.
Okay, so that would be that. As far what the language is malware written in these days, I don't know. Probably C, C++, assembly language, PowerShell, all of the above. I don't imply malware anymore. I don't know.
So, moving on to your book. So your book is about a potential security threat in which interns and other software developers with malicious intent can inject malicious code or backdoors into major systems, and that can lead to a worldwide security breach, and a hacking tool, which can potentially threaten everything, because everything is run by software. So after reading that, I was actually interested if it can be related also with hardware, because recently in the news, well, not recently as of now, but Chinese government, they were accused of putting spyware on this hardware. So Huawei specifically. So there were a lot of debates about whether to accept their 5G infrastructure into because there may be a threat of backdoors. So is such a backdoor possible? Because I thought about that, and because if you install something on the hardware and it's not really network based, you first have to push that data into the kernel's TCP/UDP layer so that you can transmit that data logically to a certain endpoint. So is it possible to put spyware on hardware? Because that seems like it's
So it's possible with spyware and hardware. Absolutely. All I need to do in hardware is basically if that hardware is processing some data, then that hardware could actually look at the data and see a code and say how it can change it so that it executes the instructions in the data that it's about to send, rather than passing it on and copying the data, for example. Or an instruction in the data could disable memory protection, so that a buffer overflow that would otherwise fail will now work. Okay, there's many different ways of including something in data that hardware could read that could also cause the hardware to change memory protection, execution protection, memory isolation, address space location, all kinds of things that could be changed very simply. So software that comes afterwards in concert with the hardware, triggering the hardware could cause bad things. Yeah, totally possible.
So, is it possible to detect a spyware within the hardware? Because even with kernels and rootkits, it's very difficult to detect. Is it possible to detect any spyware within the hardware?
It would be very, very difficult. It's very difficult. I mean, you'd have to go do it by hand. Literally have to go and look at the microcode, the chip, all the specifications of the actual chip. It would be impossible to detect that. And this is why you really need to have a secure supply chain. So if you know that piece of hardware is designed by, let's say, a Korean citizen who you know is employable, and that design made all the way to the chip through trusted Korean South Korean companies, then you know that it's public fine. But maybe not if it's spy that's doing these things. Like, it's very, very different.
So, will it be possible in the future to have a master hacking tool or master detection tool.
No, I don't think.
It's never ending.
What's that?
It's never ending. It's a game of obstacles. Right. So actually, there were additional questions after the ones that I've sent you because we progressed on our personal researches, and there were some things that we wanted to ask you about regarding to our research. So it's not very technical. We just want advice on whether this would be secure or not. So in our team, in our research, we're working on a Wi-Fi beacon-based data transmission system, which when you search for Wi-Fi, you'll get the SSID, the name of the router, the AP, and then you'll get all the different the physical layer of who made the router and what is the default gateway, and you get all this data without having to log in because you just simply have to search for it, and it's a passive scan, so it's a one-way download. We wanted to put other metadata into this beacon, and then so that your smartphone can receive content based on where you are, your physical location, because you would have to be in range of the beacon. We were challenged when we were asked if this implementation of a one-way broadcast system could have any security flaws or issues or threats. So I know that you haven't put in a lot of thought in this because I just asked you, but what are your opinions regarding this type of new technology, and what do you think?
So you're asking if you were to broadcast metadata from a wireless access point so that a mobile device like a cell phone could figure out information about the wireless access point, what do I think about that? I think that unless that data is cryptographically secure, like so you can verify that it came from that device or from that person or whoever wants to send it. It could be proofed easily, like somebody could very easily go and put another wireless access point and send something that looks similar that will trick the device. So it was like you wanted to do digital signatures on the data that's being sent. We can also include geolocation information so that you can replay that data, because I could easily record that data and send it 100 miles away, 100 kilometers away to somebody else and have it broadcast from another device. So if the phone were to detect that the device broadcasting was in the same geolocation, and also, that might help. But even then, our data could be recorded essentially and rebroadcast, which could cause all kinds of problems. So it's an interesting concept, but it depends what you're trying to send, but there are lots of security holes potentially with that. Because things can be rebroadcast, you also want to put a timestamp in it. What if somebody replays it a week later and it's no longer valid? So you have to make sure that what was sent and now be sent out. There's a bunch of different challenges there. You might want to look at something like a GPS system. The GPS standard, is something like broadcasting those information, and does so securely. And probably a lot of thinking that went into that you use in order to secure the information. It doesn't have flaws. I don't know. There's a lot of flaws with it, but I don't know.
So anybody else want to ask about their independent research projects or any questions they have about CS in general?
Can I ask another question? Not in the document.
Yes.
Hello, Professor. I want to ask.
Talk a little better, please.
I want to ask about the spectra and the meltdown in internship field. Can you say something about that? I can't understand why it can be and how it works. So
You know, I'm not an expert at that stuff, but as I understand it, effectively, there's an exploit that takes into account, execution, sort of prediction, branch prediction on the processor, as well as caching on the processor, that allows you, as an attacker, to figure out what's stored in memory, like the keys or other things, by looking at how quickly memory takes place and doesn't take the computer system. I remember reading the paper on this, but I don't remember too many details, but it's very difficult to protect against these things because of things like speculative execution. So, when machine language, when computer code runs on a computer, that computer code actually, the processor will try to do, like, put in evaluate an instruction. It doesn't know if the instruction will run, but maybe this will be a gentle way, and it'll have the instruction down regardless, because it might run down or it might run over, run loop or something, right? And because of that, the computers can actually run instructions that it shouldn't run just to make things faster, just so it can speed things up and run them in parallel. And so, that can cause security flaws. The only way to deal with those, I would think, would be to have random delays introduced by the computer system when such speculative instructions are being run. So you actually would say, ooh, I ran this instruction down below, and it may or may not be, the result here may not be used, but we would have to change the timing, like how long it takes, so that somebody who is, an attacker can't take advantage of timing, looking at the timing of instructions, but that would then slow down the computer system. So I don't know if this makes any sense to you, but it's a very, very hard thing to solve. Let me try to think of an analogy. 1 second. Imagine if your friend behind you, if you basically said, okay, I'm going to ask you in a minute to compute, 1,372,552 times 75,372, right? That would take him a long time to compute. You have to sit down and get some paper and do it, right? But if he knew that there was a chance that he'd have to compute those, do that multiplication, he might start now while I'm talking to you, and then we might then, when we're done talking, I might go to him and say, okay, what's the answer? And if he already knows the answer, then I know he was working on it before. And if he doesn't know the answer, I know he wasn't working on it before. And depending on whether he pre-computed or not, we can understand some things about what he's doing. Whether he pre-computed or not. That's a bad example, but that's what's going on the computer. There's pre-computation in an assumption that the work is eventually going to have to be done. And basically these flaws are taking advantage of looking at that pre-computation that took place. Basically that's what's happening. I don't think it's a great explanation, but I hope it helps a little bit. It's very difficult to solve these things. It's very difficult to solve these things. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know if that's a good answer.
no, thank you for answering my questions.
I tried, yeah. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
So anyone else? We have to wrap it up in 3-4 minutes, so.
No problem. I have one question for all of you too. And we're done.
Wow.
Hello, Professor. Thank you to this interview. I want to ask you that I read the book that the book said to hack the program that. Oh, wait, please. I'm very nervous. Sorry.
Don't worry about it. Don't be nervous.
To hack the program that attacker do. Oh, sorry.
Take your time. It's okay. No problem. No problem.
Oh, can you get some time, please?
Take your time. No problem. Or tell Jiho, he can help.
Translator.
So,
공격을 할 때
지구 통역사.
보통은 그 코드 할 때가 개발자의 실수 때문에 아마 왔는데 그래서 그러면 또 개발자의 실수가 아니라 그냥 컴퓨터 자체 그런 때문에 또 공격할 수는 있거든요.
So,
Translating.
I wanted to ask, because most of the vulnerabilities that exist within a system, they exist because somebody developing it made a mistake, and the attacker just found a mistake. He wanted to know if an attack where it's not a program or developer's fault, but just the simple design of the system itself, where it's a flaw where within the system itself, and he wanted to know some examples on such attacks.
Oh, design examples? So in other words, there's a bad design rather than a bad implementation? So is that right? So Spectre would be an example of that, right? The Spectre design, so the design of the CPU is such that because they designed the way it does and because it does speculative execution, it runs instructions before they're actually put to run, that creates problems. That design which is vulnerable to attack. Another example would be a hash. You know, MD5, the MD5 hash, if you've heard of MD5 hash, is a hash where the design is actually can be hacked. In other words, you can find collisions in the hash if you know about collisions. You can look into it if you don't. And that is a situation where you can implement the MD5 hash algorithm perfectly, no problem, 100% perfect, but the design is such that the algorithm, the hash algorithm is fundamentally flawed. So there are lots of examples where designs are flawed, even if the implementation, the coding is perfect. Wireless access points, like the original wireless encryption that was used by Wi-Fi were vulnerable, and that's why they've been updating the standard so so there's lots of cases where designs are bad. And it's the whole field of evaluating designs for security to make sure they're not bad, because many cases the design is bad, not the implementation, but both can be bad.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
Sure,
no problem.
Any other questions? No? Yes. They got used to it.
Good. No problem.
Hello, Professor.
Hello.
Nowadays, the blockchain technology.
Move in front of the camera. Move in front of the camera. There we go.
Nowadays, the blockchain technology would be the cybersecurity solution for the future. Do you think that blockchain would be the perfect security solutions?
No. I don't like blockchain that much. I mean, blockchain is interesting for certain problems because it records, a ledger of everything that happens. That can be useful for certain transactions, but right now, current blockchain systems waste a lot of electricity, a lot of power, because you have to do a lot of computation, and that can create potential things like global warming, right? Where you actually produce lots of greenhouse gases. So current blockchain solutions could probably improve to use less power. But the other thing is, not every problem needs to be solved with blockchain. Only if you want to keep a record of things is blockchain. So I think blockchain is a lot of hype. I think it's valuable for certain things, but I don't think it's valuable for everything. You're welcome.
Other questions?
No.
Right. So to wrap things up, what do you think about hacking?
Hacking, like hacking
terminology.
crack.
Terminology hacking, because our club name is actually based on hacking. So, what do you think about the terminology hacking? Because it can mean breaking into systems to do malicious things, but it could also mean to learn about what really makes the system work. So, what do you think about the terminology hacking?
I have no problem with the term. We have hold on a second. We have, lots of clubs at UCLA called, hack clubs and so on. Hacking is traditionally meant writing computer code and understanding systems. I think of the type of hacking that most people think about is called cracking. You crack into a system, right? So I have no problem with the term hacking, but different people have a different understanding of the term. Like today, most people don't know the difference between hacking and cracking. But I think it's a fine term, fine name for a club. Just make sure you do the right thing. Don't do things that are malicious. Don't do things that are bad.
And one last question. I really wanted to ask you this. In your website, there's a picture of you holding a broccoli and everybody else is asleep. What
Yeah.
happened there? I really wanted to ask you that.
You want to ask me what about that picture?
So it's very funny. It's, why were you holding that broccoli?
Why was I holding the broccoli?
And
It was
smiling into the camera.
It was meant to be like me sort of talking very excitedly, talking, with my fork up in the air. That was it. It was a joke, but just me talking. But I'm eating, I'm talking, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I really love that picture.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm a very silly person. I'm a very fun person. I like to have fun. I like to tell jokes, and so that was what that was all about. Good.
I watched your video on, what was it? I forgot. What was the name?
Voting for this.
Yeah, the Sussnet.
Yes,
I watched it. It was very interesting and
Good.
entertaining. Thank you. Informative.
Good.
So,
Good. Well, I hope you also enjoyed the book if you were able to read it, and hopefully it was fun for you. If you did read my book and you understood it and enjoyed it, please send me an email and tell me about what you liked or didn't like. I would love to hear your thoughts. I guess one thing I would leave all of you with is, try in your life to be good to people. Life is very difficult for every one of us, and most people don't share how difficult their life is with other people. Most people are very quiet and pulled in how difficult life is. But life is difficult for everybody. It's difficult for me. I have problems. Every one of you has problems, things you're worried about, things you're insecure about, or things you might think other people think you're stupid, for instance. If you share those ideas with people, if you tell other people about your problems, they will share their problems, and you'll realize that life is really hard, and you'll have a support network, people to help you. So don't think that just that only you have it bad and only that you have it difficult because your parents are yelling at you or having problems. Everybody has a hard time in life. That's the nature of life. My job, where you would think at Google it's really easy, I have lots of problems. It's very challenging. Life is difficult in general. So one thing I would leave to all of you is pursue the things that are interesting to you that you can make a living at. Create strong relationships with people. Talk to them about things that are very personal. Share things that bother you. It might be uncomfortable at first, but it will make you much happier in the end if you can share your problems and the true self that you are with other people. If you hide things about yourself, if you don't share things about yourself, you will not be a happy person. It'll be much more difficult to be happy. And some cultures and some people have difficulty doing that, and I think it actually hurts them. So try to be great to people, try to share your life with them, even if it's embarrassing for you, because you will end up realizing that other people have problems too, and that you'll be much happier overall. And that's the piece of life. Life is not just about programming and hacking, it's about having relationships with people, and the deeper those relationships are, the happier you will be as a person.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
So, can we contact you again next year?
Sure.
So we'll be seeing you again next year as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye, Professor.
Very nice guy.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.